Chosen one, stop measuring God's provision by the amount of fear you feel today. The tightness in your chest is not a financial forecast. The thought that says everything will fall apart is not a message from the future. And the silence between your prayer and the visible answer is not proof that nothing is moving. There is a pattern that has trapped many sincere people for years. They ask God for provision, but they search for it in only one form: money in the account, a dramatic opportunity, a sudden rescue. When none appear quickly, they assume the answer has not come, even while its first pieces are forming around them. But provision often arrives in a sequence, first as an idea, then as a person, then as a decision, then as an action. Only after that does it become the result you can count. Worry is dangerous because it can interrupt that sequence before the visible result appears. This is not a warning against you. It is a warning for you. Fear tries to convince you that every unfamiliar door is a threat. It tells you every small beginning is beneath you. It tells you every decision must wait until certainty becomes absolute, and then it calls that paralysis wisdom. You may know this feeling. You pray for direction, then doubt the first clear thought that comes. You ask for help, then avoid the call that could begin a new conversation. You want movement, but your mind keeps rehearsing loss, rejection, and every reason the next step might fail. That does not mean you are weak. It does not mean your faith is false. Pressure has trained your attention to search for danger before possibility, and that pattern can make a real opportunity feel unsafe before you examine it. Before this message ends, you will receive 4 things. You will see why fear is not reliable evidence about what God is doing. You will discover the difference between divine waiting and fear-based delay. And you will receive a practical way to restore enough inner order to take the next faithful step. Place your hand over your heart for a moment. Do not force yourself to feel peaceful. Notice that you are still here, still listening, still looking for truth, still willing to move differently. That willingness matters. You are not here to be promised that money will appear without responsibility. You are here to understand why provision can be close while still feeling invisible. You are here to see what worry has done and how clarity can help you recognize the next signal. God may not be asking you to produce a miracle. He may be asking you to become still enough to recognize the path already forming. Your fear is not proof that the door is closed. Your tension is not proof that you were forgotten. Your uncertainty is not proof that nothing has begun. The provision may not be absent. The pathway may already be moving. The first thing restored may be the clarity required to see it. If you are tired of letting fear make every financial decision, write this declaration below. I will recognize what God has placed before me. Do not write it as superstition. Write it as an agreement to pay attention. When fear stops being your prophet, your eyes can notice what panic kept hidden. What happens when a feeling becomes the evidence by which you judge the faithfulness of God? You may recognize the pattern before you understand it. You check your account again, even though you know the number has not changed. You open an email connected to money, then close it before reading the final paragraph. You tell yourself you will return when you feel calmer, but the calm never seems to arrive. You may have an idea that could create movement, yet within seconds, your mind produces 10 reasons it will fail. You may feel guilty when you rest, because part of you believes constant tension proves that you care. You may pray for guidance, then ignore the thoughts that return because they seem too ordinary to be an answer. These patterns do not make you lazy. They do not make you foolish. They do not prove that your faith is weak. They reveal that your attention has been trained to scan for danger, and a mind that expects danger will often overlook the quiet beginnings of help. So hear this clearly. You are not being asked to deny the numbers. You are not being asked to pretend that every problem has disappeared. You are being asked to stop allowing one difficult number to become a prophecy over your entire future. Pressure is real. Panic is a response. They are not the same. When panic becomes your normal state, feelings begin to look like facts. You feel unsafe, so you conclude that every option is unsafe. You feel forgotten, so you conclude that God has done nothing. You feel uncertain, so you decide that waiting must always be the wiser choice. But feelings can reveal what is happening inside you without accurately predicting what will happen around you. They deserve attention. They do not deserve complete authority. This is the heart of the message. Your provision may not be absent. Worry may be distorting the receiver, and restoring clarity can help you recognize and respond to what God has already placed near you. It means fear should not reject a possibility before wisdom has examined it. Do not answer quickly. Notice which example creates tension in your body. That tension may not be proof that the step is wrong. It may be the place where fear has learned to protect an older version of your life. Many sincere people become trapped here. They keep asking for a dramatic answer while overlooking the practical instruction already available. They want the entire road illuminated, but God may be giving enough light for only the next honest step. This is not about forcing action. It is about recovering the ability to examine what is in front of you. Wisdom looks carefully. Fear rejects quickly. Impulse rushes blindly. Clarity creates enough space to tell the difference. If this is naming something you have lived but never explained, write this confession below. Fear has been making too many decisions for me. Write it without shame. It is the moment a hidden pattern loses the protection of silence. And if this message is helping you name what has controlled your attention, let it know you are still here. Let it be a small act of agreement that you are willing to look again. Before we discuss the forms provision takes, you need to understand one deeper truth. A person can look directly at help and still fail to recognize it, because the mind does not only see what is present, it also filters what seems possible. Notice what happens in your body when you imagine that the answer may already require a response from you. Now, we reach the first breakthrough. You receive an email that could open a door, but you leave it unanswered. Someone suggests a new direction, but your body tightens before your mind examines the facts. You see a course, a job, or a conversation that might help, and fear speaks before wisdom has time to arrive. Then the old explanation appears. You tell yourself that the discomfort must mean God is saying no. You assume that peace should come before every correct decision. You believe that if a step is right, it should feel easy from the beginning. But discomfort is not always a warning. Sometimes it is the sensation of leaving what has become familiar. Sometimes the body reacts because the next step threatens an old pattern, not because the step itself is dangerous. This pattern has a name. It is the emotional evidence error. You feel unsafe, so you decide the path is unsafe. You feel unprepared, so you decide you must wait. You feel afraid of rejection, so you treat rejection as if it has already happened. But they are not always accurate evidence about the future. You were not always being warned. Sometimes you were being stretched. This reframe can release years of self-blame. You may not have been incapable. You may have been using an unreliable measuring tool. You may have believed that courage would arrive as the absence of fear, while courage was waiting for you to move with fear still present. So take back agency with a simple practice. Call it facts before forecasts. First, write what you actually know. Keep it specific. A payment is due. An application is open. A person offered to speak with you. A skill is needed. A cost has increased. Second, write what you are predicting. I will fail. They will reject me. I will lose everything. I will embarrass myself. Nothing will improve. Third, separate the two lists. The first list contains information. The second contains possibilities created by fear. Some possibilities may deserve preparation. but none should be treated as completed facts. Fourth, choose the smallest step that can create new information. Send the question, read the terms, make the call, ask for advice. Complete the first page. Do not carry the whole outcome. Create enough movement to learn what is true. Picture a Monday morning several months from now. You open your account and feel the old tension begin. But this time, the number does not become your identity. You breathe, you review the facts. You make one call you once avoided, and you send one message that moves a real conversation forward. The circumstances may not change in one morning, but you have changed. You are no longer using panic as a profit. You are treating the number as data, and you are responding with grounded responsibility. That is how provision often becomes visible, not through denial, not through fantasy, through a mind that can remain present long enough to notice a signal, examine it, and take one honest step. Ask yourself one question now. What am I calling a warning simply because it makes me uncomfortable? Do not force an answer. Let one situation rise. Then ask what evidence supports your fear, what evidence challenges it, and what small action could reveal more truth without putting your future at reckless risk. You do not need perfect certainty. You need enough clarity for the next wise step. Yet, even a calm person can miss provision when they expect it to arrive in the wrong form. Money is often the final visible fruit. So, what came before the fruit? Chosen one. Money is often the final visible fruit. Before fruit appears, something smaller usually begins the process. A thought returns. A person mentions your name. A need becomes obvious. A skill suddenly matters. A door opens just enough for you to notice it. Yet many people say nothing is happening. They say God is silent. But during that same week, someone sends useful information. An old idea returns, and a problem appears that they know how to solve. The issue is not always absence. Sometimes it is provision blindness. This happens when you only recognize provision after it becomes money, while ignoring every earlier form that made the money possible. Provision often moves through a pathway. First comes a signal, then comes recognition, then comes a decision, then comes action. Only after those steps does a visible result begin to form. You may have been asking for the fifth step while dismissing the first. You wanted the result, but the signal looked too ordinary. You wanted rescue, but the first answer looked like responsibility. You wanted a finished bridge, but God placed one board in your hands. That repeated idea may not be the blessing itself. It may be the first link in the chain. That conversation may introduce the person who knows the next person. That small job may restore confidence, provide data, or reconnect you with movement. This does not mean every thought is divine guidance. It does not mean every invitation is safe. Wisdom still tests what appears, but fear should not erase a signal before wisdom has examined it. So create a provision inventory today. Write down one person who keeps appearing in your path. Write one skill people repeatedly ask you to use. Then write one decision you keep postponing. Write one expense that is draining energy or money. Write one conversation that could create clarity. Look at the list without forcing a miracle into it. Ask which item contains a practical next step. Ask which one can be tested without reckless risk. The result may not arrive tomorrow, but the pathway can become visible today. This is where responsibility meets faith. Faith does not require you to pretend every signal will succeed. Faith lets you respond without demanding a guaranteed outcome. And there is another layer you need to understand. A team studying how the human brain handles complex information focused on a question connected to everything we are discussing. Why can a capable person possess information, opportunity, and desire, yet remain unable to reach a clear decision? Their work points toward the condition of the receiver itself, not your worth, not the sincerity of your prayer. the condition of the instrument through which you notice patterns, weigh choices, and choose a response. Later, I will show you what their team developed and why the daily process takes only 8 minutes. For now, hold this question. What if the fog you have accepted as your personality is not permanent? Until then, return to the chain. Signal, recognition, decision, action, result. Which link have you been waiting to receive, and which link has already been placed in your hands? Write this declaration below. I will stop overlooking the first link. Do not write it as a demand for money. Write it as a commitment to notice, test, and respond with wisdom. The pathway may be present, but what happens when the receiver is filled with noise? Chosen one, the pathway may be present, but a noisy receiver can make every direction feel uncertain. You can have 3 reasonable choices and still feel unable to choose. You can research for hours, ask many people, and finish with less clarity than when you began. You may start an important task, then reach for your phone. You may call this preparation, while your body is quietly trying to escape the risk of deciding. This does not mean you lack intelligence. It does not mean you have lost your gift. It does not mean God is hiding the answer from you. Sometimes the receiver is worried. The worried receiver is a mind that has learned to treat uncertainty as danger. It demands certainty before movement. It creates more scenarios, more questions, and more delay because delay feels safer than responsibility. That pattern can make fog feel like your personality. You may say you are simply bad at decisions, but pressure can reduce your access to abilities that are still present. You did not lose your intelligence. You lost reliable access to it under pressure. That distinction matters. It removes shame without removing responsibility. You are not condemned for becoming overwhelmed. But once you can name the pattern, you can stop letting it make every choice. Begin with a simple process called the Clear Receiver Reset. First, regulate. Put both feet on the floor. Lower your shoulders. Take 1 slower breath than usual. Leave the screen for 2 minutes if you can. Second, reduce. Stop comparing 10 possibilities. Choose the 2 options that are most realistic, lawful, and aligned with your actual responsibilities. Third, review. Ask what evidence supports each option. Ask what the cost is. Fourth, respond. Choose 1 small and reversible step. Send 1 question. Request 1 document. Schedule 1 conversation. Complete 1 sample. Movement creates information that endless thinking cannot provide. Fifth, record. Write what happened. A clear record prevents fear from rewriting the experience later. Clarity does not guarantee wealth. It improves the quality of the next decision. That is the grounded promise here. You may have heard people say that positive thinking changes everything. This is not positive thinking. It is reducing enough noise for facts, wisdom, and responsibility to be evaluated together. If you are facing debt, job loss, or a serious crisis, this process will not erase the situation. It can help you approach the situation without allowing panic to control every choice. Practical support may also be necessary, and seeking it is not spiritual failure. Support is not a reward reserved for people who never became overwhelmed. You are allowed to ask for counsel. You are allowed to speak with a qualified professional. You are allowed to use tools that help you think more clearly. Notice your jaw now. Notice your shoulders. Notice your hands. Release 1 small degree of tension. Do not solve your whole life in this breath. Create enough space for 1 honest thought to rise. Ask yourself what decision has become larger because you keep carrying it alone. Ask who could provide useful information. Ask what step would create clarity without placing your future at reckless risk. The receiver does not need to become perfect. It needs to become available. And clarity is necessary, but clarity alone does not close the final gap. What if you already know enough to move, but certainty has become the hiding place? Chosen one, there is a moment when waiting stops being wisdom and becomes protection from discomfort. You already know the call that should be made. You already know the form that should be completed. You already know the expense that must be reduced, the boundary that must be set, or the skill that must be practiced. Yet you ask for another sign, then another. But sometimes the search for certainty is only fear, asking for permission to remain hidden. This pattern has a name. It is the obedience gap. It is the distance between what has become clear enough and the step you still refuse to take. More signs cannot repair unwillingness. More inspiration cannot replace execution. And more prayer does not always mean more clarity, because clarity often expands after the first honest action. You were not waiting for God to speak again. You were waiting to become incapable of being afraid. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move wisely while uncertainty is still present. It simply refuses to demand a perfect emotional state before every faithful step. Use the 24-hour obedience test. Choose one action that is lawful, low risk, and connected to what is already clear. It should be reversible or adjustable. It should not require reckless debt. And it should begin within the next 24 hours. Send the application. Ask the question. Cancel the unnecessary expense. Book the consultation. Finish the proposal. Practice the skill. Take one step that creates real information. Do not choose an action to prove your faith. Choose an action that honors wisdom. My child, I am not asking you to carry the whole outcome. I am asking you to stop abandoning the next honest step. Write this declaration below. My next step does not require perfect certainty. Now return to the question that has remained open. Why can a capable person possess information, opportunity, and desire, yet still feel unable to reach a clear decision? Because information is not enough when the receiver is overwhelmed. Desire is not enough when the mind cannot organize what it already knows. You now understand the shape of the problem. The fear was not the forecast. The provision was not always absent. The pathway often began as a signal, but the receiver was crowded, and the final gap remained between insight and action. There is still one missing piece. Why can you understand every principle we have discussed and lose access to it when pressure returns? Why does insight disappear at the exact moment a decision must be made? The missing piece may not be another belief. It may be the condition of the mind attempting to carry that belief into action. Here is the reason, in plain language. Worry can distort what you notice. It can make safe options feel threatening. It can make ordinary uncertainty feel unbearable. It can keep you searching after enough information has already arrived. Here is what must change. The receiver needs enough order to recognize a signal, evaluate a choice, and respond without panic, controlling the process. And here is who you are becoming. You are not a victim of fog. You are a person who can build conditions for clearer thought, wiser action, and more faithful stewardship. The provision may be real. The pathway may be visible. But a visible door still requires a mind clear enough to choose. Chosen one, we have reached the question that remained open. Why can a capable person possess information and opportunity, yet still struggle to reach a clear decision? According to the team behind the resource I am about to describe, part of the answer may involve how effectively the two sides of the brain work together. Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for research involving the specialized functions of the two cerebral hemispheres. His work did not prove this product, but the product team says that research inspired their focus on hemisphere coordination and whole brain engagement. They describe a state in which logic and imagination support each other. Analysis does not silence intuition. Creativity does not abandon structure. The mind can recognize patterns while also evaluating practical consequences. A woman from California described this struggle in a testimonial shared by the provider. She had prayed, journaled, and tried many practices, yet truth still felt trapped in her head. After using the sequence, she reported feeling clearer and more connected. That was her experience, not a promised result. A man from Texas reported persistent mental fog and difficulty making decisions at work. According to the provider, he later felt more organized and decisive after using the sequence. Individual results can vary. The team behind these reports is led by New York neurologist Dr. Daniel Barone. They describe an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence designed around what they call neural sync technology. They call it the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is a digital audio track used with headphones for 8 minutes a day. According to the provider, it was designed to support hemisphere synchronization and whole brain engagement. Put on headphones, close your eyes, relax, listen for 8 minutes. It is not presented as a meditation app. It does not require mantras, journaling, or a complicated ritual. The provider also distinguishes it from common binaural tracks and ordinary sound products. It is not medical treatment. It should not replace professional care when brain fog, memory problems, anxiety, or other symptoms are serious or persistent. It should be considered only as a support tool. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that an opportunity still requires a mind capable of recognizing patterns, weighing choices, and following through. It is for the person ready to stop treating fog as a moral failure and consider practical support. The provider says colleagues valued this type of protocol as high as $500. Their material also compares it with more expensive neurofeedback options. The listed price is $49. On the official page described in the product information, the current offer is $39. That price may change, so the page itself should be checked before any decision. The offer includes 4 digital bonuses: a guided visualization, a smart grocery shopping guide, a classic manifestation book, and a printable infographic built around 5 daily habits. The provider also states that the purchase includes lifetime digital access and a money-back guarantee under the terms shown on the official page. Read those terms carefully. Waiting has a cost when the delay comes from confusion rather than wisdom. Another week in the same fog can mean another week postponing the call, the application, the boundary, or the decision already demanding attention. That does not mean this tool is the only path. It means clarity deserves to become a practical priority. According to the product information, the verified version is available only through the official page. Tracks with similar names on common platforms are not confirmed to use the same process. If what has been described fits a need you genuinely recognize, the official information is available through the link in the description and the pinned comment. Read the page, review the terms. Decide from clarity, not pressure. Chosen one. The tool does not replace God. It does not replace obedience, professional advice, disciplined work, or responsible financial choices. It cannot make a decision for you. And no honest message should promise that listening to an audio track will cause money to appear. Its role is narrower and more grounded. It offers a form of support for the person who wants to approach decisions with greater clarity. The deeper work still belongs to the life you choose to live. The source is not a product. The source is not a method. The source is not a purchase. A tool may support your attention, but stewardship still belongs to you. Return to the central truth. Your provision may not be absent. Worry may be distorting the receiver, and restoring clarity can help you recognize and respond to what God has already placed near you. That recognition must become a decision. The decision must become an action, and the action must remain grounded in wisdom. Picture a morning several months from now. You wake before the noise of the day begins. You spend a few quiet minutes restoring order through the resource described earlier or through another healthy practice that fits your life. You write 3 priorities. You close the extra tabs. Then an email arrives, and the old rush of fear begins to rise. But this time, you do not react immediately. You breathe, you read carefully, you ask one useful question, you compare the facts, then you choose one next step. The problem may not disappear that day, the account may not transform overnight, but you do not abandon yourself. You remain present long enough to respond with wisdom. That is a different life. Not because every outcome is controlled, because your participation is no longer controlled by panic. Now, place both feet on the floor. Open your hands. Let your shoulders drop slightly. Take one slow breath. Imagine a road in front of you. The entire road is not visible. Only one section is lit. There is no dramatic treasure at the end. There is only enough light for the next honest step. You do not need the whole road. You do not need every answer. You do not need to carry the final result today. Bring your thumb and finger together gently. Let that small touch become an anchor. Then say this within yourself. I do not need the whole road to take the next honest step. Hold that sentence. The clarity you need may begin as a pause before replying. It may begin as a question you were afraid to ask. It may begin as the courage to admit that you need counsel. That is not weakness. That is stewardship. Think now of one person who is awake late at night because of bills. Think of someone who has begun calling themselves a failure. Think of the person who keeps praying but feels too overwhelmed to make a decision. Share this message with that person. Do not send it as pressure. Send it as a reminder that panic does not deserve the final word. And for the person who recognized their own struggle when the receiver was discussed, the official resource remains in the description and the pinned comment. It is there for review, not as a command. Let your decision be measured, informed, and free from pressure, because the final declaration is not about a product. It is about the identity from which you will meet the next opportunity. Chosen one, worry is not a forecast. Provision may begin before money appears. Clarity helps you recognize what is present. Recognition must become a decision, and a decision must become an honest action. No tool can replace responsibility. But fear does not deserve to make every decision for you. So let us close in prayer. God, quiet the noise without asking us to deny the facts. Give us wisdom to see what is already present. Help us distinguish fear from impulse, and impulse from faithful action. Give us courage for the next small step. Protect us from reckless choices. Teach us to ask for help without shame. Where confusion has become familiar, restore order. Where delay has become hiding, restore courage. My child, the road will not always arrive as certainty. Sometimes it will arrive as enough light for one step. Take that step with wisdom. I will meet you in the obedience that follows. Now, speak these words slowly. I am not abandoned. I am not defined by the number I see today. Fear is not my financial profit. Confusion is not my permanent identity. I recognize provision in its earliest form. I honor ideas that return with wisdom. I evaluate opportunities instead of rejecting them automatically. I do not call paralysis discernment. I do not demand perfect certainty before every faithful step. I welcome clarity. I practice responsibility. I ask for help when help is needed. I refuse impulsive decisions made from panic. I receive wisdom before increase. I receive order before expansion. I receive courage before visibility. What God places before me, I will examine carefully. What is mine to do, I will not continually postpone. I am becoming a trustworthy steward of opportunity, insight, relationship, and resource. The provision may already be moving. The pathway may already be forming, and I will meet it awake. The question at the beginning can now be answered. Provision can remain invisible when you search only for money. It can remain hidden when worry narrows what you notice. It can remain unfinished when uncertainty becomes delay, and when a signal never becomes action. But the pathway does not have to remain invisible. You can notice the signal. You can examine the facts. You can take the next honest step. Write this final declaration below. I receive with clarity, and I move with wisdom. Let those words shape the next conversation and the next decision. If this message helped you name a real pattern, let it know. Stay connected to messages that join spiritual insight with grounded action. Chosen one, stop asking fear to tell you what God is doing. Become still, look again, take the honest step. What you need may not be in your hands yet, but the pathway does not have to be invisible anymore.